Putin's personal authority is the sole structural pillar of the Russian government. When he dies, that pillar vanishes, leaving behind a massive, unfillable vacuum. The Russian constitution has exactly one contingency for this moment. If the president dies or is incapacitated, the prime minister immediately assumes the role of acting president. As of 2026, that title belongs to Mikhail Mishustin. He is a technocrat, an administrator focused on the economy rather than a hardline ideologue. The Constitution also starts a strict ticking clock. The government is legally required to hold new presidential elections within exactly 90 days. But a neat, orderly 3-month transition is a fiction. In a system built entirely around the absolute loyalty to one man, the legal framework means almost nothing the moment he is gone. The immediate global crisis on day one is mechanical. Russia holds thousands of nuclear warheads, and legal command over them suddenly falls to a bureaucrat who lacks the deep loyalty of the military and security services. The physical transfer of power happens the moment the acting president inherits the Cheget, the Russian nuclear briefcase. This diagram shows Russia's triple key system. To actually authorize a launch, you generally need confirmation from 3 separate briefcases, one held by the president, one by the Minister of Defense, and one by the Chief of the General Staff. To prevent a global panic over unsecured weapons, the acting president and the military hardliners have to rapidly establish a temporary functional truce. This handshake only stabilizes the nuclear arsenal for the first few days. It does nothing to prevent the vicious shadow war that is about to erupt over permanent control of the country. That 90-day constitutional window provides a convenient cover for a brutal, behind-the-scenes clash among the Russian elite. On one side are the Siloviki, or the men of force. These are the hardliners from the FSB, military intelligence, and the armed forces, who view the West as a permanent, existential enemy. A prominent figure in this camp is Alexei Dumin. He is a former Putin bodyguard with deep military ties, long whispered to be a favored successor among the armed forces. Opposing them are the Technocrats. These are the managers and economists focused strictly on keeping the state functional and preventing the economy from collapsing under international sanctions. Mishustin leads this group alongside figures like Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin, administrators who prioritize state stability over ideological expansion. Whoever wins this factional fight inherits the state apparatus. They also inherit the ultimate geopolitical proxy battle, the ongoing war in Ukraine. Putin spent years framing the invasion as his personal, historical mission. Without him, the rationale for fighting evaporates, and the trenches become the central point of leverage for the battling elites. If the Siloviki take control, they could trigger a hardline surge. A military victor might declare a state of total war mobilization to cement their authority and honor the previous administration's legacy. The Technocrats offer a different path. Realizing the conflict is bankrupting the state, they could push for a managed retreat, offering a ceasefire to get sanctions lifted, while blaming the war's failures on the deceased leader. But if neither side gains a clear upper hand, Russia faces a smuta, a time of troubles. Regional strongmen like Ramzan Kadyrov and private military factions could begin fighting each other, fracturing the front lines entirely. Under those conditions, the military campaign loses its unified national direction and degrades into a bargaining chip used for domestic survival. The Russian political system functions through a rigid web of patronage and dependency rather than law. This diagram illustrates the core mechanic. Elite wealth depends on a single figure who grants access to resources. When that central arbiter disappears, subordinates lose their protection. They immediately turn on one another to secure their own holdings. This internal war eventually threatens the assets of every survivor, forcing the elites to find a compromise and install a new protector to safeguard their wealth. The power struggle eventually resolves when the surviving elites quietly coalesce around a consensus candidate, someone who guarantees their continued wealth and physical survival. By the time the 90th day arrives, the shadow war is already over. The mandated constitutional election is simply rigged to formally legitimize whichever candidate won behind closed doors. This 90-day period ends in a reset of the existing autocracy under new management. The instability built into the Russian state means a nuclear power enters its most dangerous phase during the very transition designed to save it.